guys, today I want to talk to you about tubular netting. Netting is a stitch that is very open and airy. It's basically an outline kind of stitch, and so you have a lot of white space in between all of the seed beads, and that's one of the reasons I like it. So let's take a look at the beads and let me show you how you get started. Here I have strung enough beads for my first initial round, and netting has kind of an up-down action going to it. What we have to string on the first round is both the ups and the downs, and this is going to make a little bit more sense as I get going. So to start out, I'm going to, what I did here is I strung two of what my side colors are going to be. Actually, let's show it to you that way. Two of these side colors, and then one of what I call my crossover bead. And then I just repeated that set of 3 beads 6 times here. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to bring this down so that I have about a 4 to 6 inch tail below them, just enough to weave back in later. And then you're going to pass through all of these beads again, from the tail end back up. I'm using some extra large beads here, so it will look kind of ginormous and dramatic. I'm using the bigger ones so that you can see on camera. When you go down to using a size 11, this won't look quite as humongous. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going forward, because as you can see, this doesn't turn it into a perfect circle. So we're going to keep moving forward through one more set so that I'm coming out one of those crossover beads, which are the teal. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do here is create a series of what I call humps or wings. I say humps and everybody laughs at me, so I guess I'll try to remember to call them wings. But what I'm going to do is I'm picking up this first couple of beads here. I'm going to repeat it. So I'm going to pick up 2 of my outline color, 1 new crossover bead, and 2 of my outline color. So you can see that that matches what's there. And then I'm going to fly over all of those beads and pass through the next crossover bead. So now you can see you've got these sitting side by side, 2 by 2. Going to do the same thing over here. So 2 of my gold, 1 crossover bead, 2 of my outline. That matches what's right there. So I'm going to fly over those. So you're skipping a crossover bead and going through the next crossover bead. And I just put my finger over that intersection as I pull. It helps me kind of control the tension. So now I've got 2 wings on there. I've got 1 more wing to add here. So same thing, 2 gold, 1 crossover, 2 gold. Okay, so that matches. Now here, when I go through my crossover bead, it's that second crossover bead, I'm going to have to do what's called a step up. So my step up will be, I want to start getting through that. I want to end up coming out the top crossover bead. So what I'm going to do is, in addition to going through this crossover bead on the bottom, I'm also going to pass through the first 2 gold and the crossover bead of my first wing. And that's going to allow me to do my step up. And you'll only do that at the end of every row. All right. So now you can kind of see the pattern of the netting a little bit better. So you can see that this wing is going to go down, this wing is going to go up, and we're going to keep building on top of that. So let me show you the next row, because that got you all set up. So same thing here. I'm just going to repeat those same beads that I was picking up before. So 2, 1, and 2. And I'm going to skip the crossover bead that's recessed, and I'm going through the crossover bead at the top of the next wing. So I'm doing these in a different color today, the crossover beads. This does not have to be in a different color. You can make this all a single color. And when you do that, what you look for is, it's not as obvious what your crossover bead is if that were gold. What you look for is you're looking for the center bead of the next wing. So because I did a wing of 5 beads here, you'd look for that 3rd bead. Okay, and we're just going to keep doing that around this end. So 2, 1 and 2. Pass through the middle bead of the next wing. Whoop, pulled that all crazy. Stop and tighten here. This is actually a good learning moment though. See how I ended up with a bunch of extra thread right over here, and as I'm pulling over here, it's not really getting that out. What you can do is kind of go backwards and start pulling in that same round all the way around. Tighten it up that way. There we go. Now we've got one more round to add on this row. So it's still 2, 1, and 2. And then this is going to be our step up. So we skip the recessed one, we go through the next, and then your step up is through the first 2 gold, or the first 2 of your wing, and that crossover bead, that first crossover bead of the wing. So you're actually going through 4 beads on this round. And so now we've just added another row of netting. And you would just keep going, doing the same thing over and over again until you got the length that you desired. Just because I put 2 seed beads on either side of the crossover bead, that is not the rule. You can put however many beads you want to here. You could put a single bead and then a crossover bead and a single bead. You can, if you wanted it to be much more elongated, you could add many more beads here. So you could do 3 or 4 and then a single and then 3 or 4. Likewise, you're not limited to what type of bead. You could certainly use, something I've used before is I've used a triangle as a crossover bead before. That looks really nice. And that's using a different kind of bead here is another good way to be able to see where that crossover bead is. A drop bead will kind of poke out and look really nice. And you can certainly use other kinds of beads. So don't be limited by anything but your imagination as to how you can pull this together, because the basic thing is the same. You're just adding wings around and then doing the step up through the center bead of the next wing. And that is basically all you need to know about tubular netting, at least to start out.